everybody. So today we're talking with Ken Pozek, the team leader of the Pozek Group down in Orlando, Florida. He recently moved his entire team over to a real broker. Today we're going to get his insights of why he made that decision. And now that he's here, what are his thoughts and feelings about real broker? Ken, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We've known each other for a couple of years now. Right? We're both in the video space. So I'm super excited that you made a decision to switch your team over to real as well.
Yeah, it's been good. It's funny. I was brought the opportunity 11 months ago, and if I knew it was going to be as easy as it's been or as beneficial as it's been, I would have moved a lot longer. But I'm glad I finally made it.
Yeah, the funny thing is that's what a lot of people tell me is like the only regret I have is not joining earlier. So yeah, I have the same exact regrets. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like, what does your current team structure look like? How long have you been in the business? What's your production look like with your team?
Yeah, so I've been in the business for 17 years. I moved from Detroit to Orlando here 6 years ago, though. Kind of started over fresh, didn't know anybody. But as it sits today, our team is 28 people. We passed 180 million yesterday for the year. So we're right on track for about 230 million for the year. And it's a mix of agents, support staff, and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's wild. Well, no wonder it took you so long to make that decision to switch a team over. That's a massive operation. I mean, 28 agents. You said 280 million is what you think you'll close this year?
Probably 230 million.
30 million. God, man, those are some pretty wild numbers. And so, why real? Why not, one of these other companies? Why not start your own brokerage? What kind of enticed you to come over to real with your big team?
So I think Real offers this opportunity where it's really sticky for my team members. So for one, it was cheaper for them than Keller Williams was, which is where I came from. And so love KW, but we were just looking at do we go independent or do we look at Real? Do we stay at KW? What do we do, right? And so when I looked at what was going to be the best opportunity for my team members, I was like, okay, so that the cap structure is lower, which is great, but it also gives them another opportunity to gain revenue share, to get some stock earned in. I think once you start doing those two things, they're essentially zero basing their cost of being at the brokerage. I don't have to worry about technology. Like I'm decent at video, but I don't know technology and building out crazy platforms and all that other kind of stuff. And so I was just looking at what could be the stickiest, best platform that also matched with what we were building on our team for our team culture and our team value proposition. And it paired really, really well with what we were going to do.
Yeah, I love that. And so you mentioned that there's a lot of benefits for your team members. What are some of the? I think that's a really important thing because I think a lot of team leaders, they say, all right, well, what's my cap? What's my split? What do I get out of this? But you're in charge of 28 people's lives, essentially.
Yep.
And what are some of the benefits to your 28 team members being at Real compared to your last brokerage?
Yeah, so for me, it was so they got a reduced cap from KW. There's no franchise fee, so they instantly got a $500 to $1,000 a month raise because really all my agents on my team are cappers, and so that's real money when you start adding up. I mean, that's someone's car payment, that's someone's health insurance, that's somebody's college fund for their kids. Like that savings difference alone was a win for them. But I've already had multiple agents on my team recruit other agents or attract agents, like, just friends that they've found, that they know on Instagram, that they saw they made a move. And it was like, oh, that seems like a really cool fit for me too. Like I love the culture, love the collaboration, love the masterminding, all that stuff seems like something that would be really cool for me to take part of as well. And let me do that. So now I've got 4 of my agents that have also recruited other people. And so that's $4,000, right off the rip for them in their first line. And so that combination right there, I think, has been, to me, a big value add.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the end, it's more money in their pocket, and I get 4 agents that have an additional stream of income into their own real estate businesses as well. Right. And so, like, what about like the collaboration and training and education? Does your team, you think a lot of them kind of take advantage of that and take advantage of workplace that Real offers?
It does, yeah. So they've all really dug into like the referral system really early on, because that was one thing. Like it was so hard with all of these different Facebook groups to be,
Yeah.
they're a bunch of fan clubs, unfortunately, and so it's really tough to like stand out. And the cool thing about Real is like we're small enough now to where you could go make an impact, but we're big enough to where like we've got the whole country covered practically, and so they're able to get in there. That's been really great. They're also jumping into like the marketing media masterminds, the team collaboration masterminds, and so that's been really cool to just sort of see that on a national level, and have them jump in. Some really good.
Yeah, that's great, man. So you mentioned the tech. Now that you've been with the company, you've got to play around with some of the technology. What's your thoughts on the technology? So we got Workplace, we got SkySlope, we got the app on our phone. What's kind of your feedback and your review of all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we came from DocuSign on our like DocuSign commands. Like there were like 5 other things, and now they're all in one, right? And so like the Sky Slope stuff's been super easy to transition for. Honestly, like I was some of my OG agents that are like just they don't like change. Like I was really nervous about like how they were gonna. They were like, wow, this is actually really user friendly. Like this isn't something there's really wasn't like a learning curve. And one thing that our CTO Pritesh says is like, if technology is built properly, you shouldn't have to have a massive tutorial. It should be something that's kind of like very intuitive to use, right? And so the app is very intuitive to use. Like there's no video teaching you how to use the agent app. You just log in, you see the 5 metrics that all of us care about, which is contracts, commissions, volume, our revenue share, what's going on. And it works. I mean, it's like it doesn't have to be overly fancy or any of that kind of stuff. It works. And that's, I think, what we all want of tech.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the app is like my favorite piece of technology that we get. This is something I've never had before in any other brokerage, where I can see all the stats of my entire business right there, how close I am to capping, what my GCI is for the year, how much free stock I've earned in the company, how much revenue share I've earned. Your entire business is right there on that app, man.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of a no-brainer. Like, why doesn't every company have an app like that?
Yeah, well, I think because so many people, and Real's eventually going to get around to solving the consumer problem as well. But I think so many agents or so many agencies, these big box places, try to solve for the client first and not their agents first. But we got to remember, most of our clients don't care where we work. And they're not trying to like go to Remax and like go to remax.com and search for houses. They're coming to you and I to find houses. And like, yes, they can use Zillow and realtor.com and all this other place. But at the end of the day, they're building the relationship with us. And so let's solve the technology problem for the agent first. Let them be amazing agents first, and then we'll go solve for the consumer side. And I think that that's one of the things that's Real's getting really right.
I love that. I love that approach as well, because so many companies like, okay, well, Zillow's got an amazing app, an amazing website. We have to create our version of Zillow, and like you're just trying to. It's not as good, and it doesn't have as much, adoption.
Right.
It's like, why even put all those resources in trying to compete with the Zillow app?
Yeah.
So I love that Real's approach is like, okay, well, how can we make the agent's experience much more better and really help them grow their individual businesses?
That's right.
And so I think that kind of touches on the culture of the company here at Real. And I know culture is really big for a lot of agents, and that's that culture alone can kind of grow a company.
Yeah.
What's your review of the culture here at Real? Kind of what's your take on the culture here?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it can sound a little airy fairy where we're like, hey, we all grow together, and like when one agent succeeds, we all succeed. But like financially, that's actually true. Like the more houses Malcolm sells, even though we're not in the same network, the more houses you sell, the more profitable the company becomes, the more my stock goes up, right? And so I'm invested in seeing Malcolm go sell more houses, right? And like the revenue share piece, obviously you grow your network, the people underneath you, the more that you see them succeed, the more revenue share you get. And so we're literally all intertwined to make sure we succeed. So that's like baseline. But then to see it actually in practice, where you see these really big agents, these really well-known names every single week teaching classes and being available for calls. And, it's this really cool collaboration. We're all helping each other grow. And so I didn't get that at my last company. It was very high level, but like when you came down to like, oh, we should mastermind around that, it never happened,
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm just seeing it at a really high level over here.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Like that's the genius thing about this model is that they've built in incentives to incentivize the type of culture that they want. Because we all own stock in the company, we all want to see the stock do well. So we're much more willing to collaborate and network and mastermind versus other brokerages where you're only masterminding with people in your local market. There's a disincentive for them to share their best secrets and best information with you.
Yep.
It absolutely has a big impact on the culture of the company.
It does.
And so you mentioned that we have a lot of like top agents doing a training every single week. What do you think about the training that we have here and kind of how that compares maybe to your last company or to the other brokerages?
Yeah, I think the big difference here, man, is that it's all led by producers, whereas like so many other companies, it's people that either flamed out of the business, they got overwhelmed and just decided to not sell anymore, or they never could make it in the business. So, hey, let me go teach, you know? And so, so instead it's taught by actual producing agents that are crushing it. And so, you know, that it's not just like lip service, that this stuff actually works. And so to me, that's just night and day.
Yeah, that's the same exact feeling. You know, I've been with other companies where it feels like the training comes from top down. It comes from leadership that haven't sold homes in years, and it kind of trickles down. It's all approved by your team leader. Versus here, it's people on the ground floor experimenting with new frontiers like videos and YouTube and TikTok, and they learn what works, and then they're sharing that information right away. You know, instead of it coming from top down, it's training from the bottom up, which is completely different.
Yeah, I feel like part of that too, you know, and it's funny because I recruited 2 people away from my last brokerage to join my team. It wasn't even just a reel. It was just like, hey, come join my team. I think you're a good culture fit. I think I can help you succeed. You'll help me succeed. And their former team leader was like, all that stuff he's doing is just gimmicky. Like, you don't even know if it actually is going to work. And so like, you know, what's proven? Door knocking. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That did work 15 years ago or 5 years ago, but I mean, like, let's push the boundaries on what does work. And like, oh, by the way, I'm still doing all of that old school stuff really, really well too, but let's go see what actually it works. And then like, oh, I get to collaborate with guys like you that are like, hey, listen, here's what I'm doing and it's working and not working. Right. So like, man, it's such a different mindset. Yeah.
And like the other brokerages, they have agents that were successful in the 90s and early 2000s. Right. They're now in leadership and they're teaching stuff from the 90s and early 2000s.
Because that's what they know. That's what they know. And it's probably all very good and well-intentioned. Like, I'm not saying that they're doing it from a bad place. It's just, I feel like there's just new stuff that can work and really should be taught more.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
And that's what I love. Like we got Brad McCallum, we got Jeremy Knight, you know, putting great stuff in there. I'm hoping to see some training from you in the Real Academy. I'm sure we will in the near future.
Yeah.
I just love learning from people that are experimenting and figuring out what's working today's market. And so kind of from a macro perspective, right? So Real is, you know, the second most successful cloud brokerage out there. I think we may be number one day, but kind of from a macro perspective, what do you think is kind of in store for the future of the real estate industry in terms of like franchise brokerages versus cloud-based brokerages? Like, do you think this model is the future of the industry?
Yeah, I think it's really going to take some time for brick and mortar to really die out, because you're gonna have those agents that are just still gonna do their 4, 5, 10 deals a year, and they just want that space to go, right? But eventually, I see the next 10 to 15 years where we you know, us and our, you know, other cloud-based competitors own the majority of the market share. Because the thing is, like, I don't know about you, man, but even when I was at a brick and mortar 2 months ago, my clients never came to the office.
Never.
And my admin staff came to the office, and we are getting a little mega agent office because we're growing like a studio and podcast studio and a bunch of other stuff. But if I didn't have that stuff going on, like, I wouldn't absolutely need it. And I think that the majority of agents don't absolutely need it. So I think the fact that like we're here reinvesting back into our people via revenue share, and you go do whatever you want to do to grow your business, I think that's the way. And then the fact that we're all collaborative and tied in together financially, then that's how we all win.
Yeah, 100%. And like maybe like once or twice a year, if somebody wants to meet me in person, and I just go and rent a conference room at my title company's office or my lender's office. Like, it's not hard to get a conference room to meet with a client, you know?
No, it's really not. And even still, I mean, like, especially if like I'm really big on supporting local, so I'm always like, hey, come meet me at my favorite coffee shop over here. You live in Windermere, awesome. There's you know, Palmetto Coffee or whatever. Let's go check out there. Like, I would much rather support local than go in a stuffy office. I just, you know, that's just me.
Yeah, I love it. So if anybody wanted to follow you on social media or reach out to you, what are some of your tags or best places?
Yeah, I'm at Ken Pozek on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And then obviously I'm over on YouTube, Ken Pozek TV.
Perfect. I love it, man. Well, how many subscribers are you up to now?
So I'm literally watching. I've got 229,999. So within the next couple minutes, it should roll over to 30,000. So
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. So I got my real estate channel up to 25,000 subscribers, and I was waiting. I was like, okay, Brad McCallum's going to pass me soon. Ken Pozek's going to pass me. So sometime in the last few months, he passed me at 25,000.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's still a huge part of our business, man. So I think that we're going to keep doubling down on it.
I love it, man. I hope you do. Well,
Thanks,
Ken, man, I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everybody.